Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jean Boda. I'm the Executive Director with the Alberta Community Crime Prevention Association, commonly known as ACCPA. In May of this year, we'll be hosting our annual Crime Prevention Conference in Edmonton, Alberta. Our dates, May the 5th through the 7th. In anticipation of this exciting event, we are hosting a series of interviews with our conference presenters and our exhibitors. Today, I am interviewing talented Alberta photographer, Mr. LUKASZ HERBA, and his partner, SABRINA NAULT, who is a storyteller. Their work will be on display at the exhibit hall at the conference in May, and we're delighted that you could join us today. SABRINA and LUKASZ, would you both mind giving us a little bit of background on yourselves, please?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go first. Thanks for having us, Jean. We really appreciate it. So just a little bit of a background about me. I got my degree in sociology back in 2017, I believe it was, because I wanted to get into the field of helping people. So before that, my career was kind of just going along, and so I'm really glad that I made the change, because from there I've worked in group homes, in homes for people with criminal records, people with disabilities, and before, well, I did that before, and then I moved into probation, and I just continued to take that motivation and the reason why I went to school into this field, because I just really want to help people. And I want to hear their stories. From what I've learned over my time from switching my careers, listening to people, genuinely listening to people, hearing their stories, and being there for them when they don't have anybody else is
Big.
The most important thing that I think that we can do together, especially like as a community, so everybody can feel supported, and feel like they belong in this community, wherever that community is. So that's why this is really important to me. So we can really show people who people are, you know, and just really get to the heart of it. So yeah, that's my little.
Excellent. No, thank you for sharing that, SABRINA. Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of passion there, which I'm finding these days. There's a lot of passion in what a lot of people are doing, which is kind of nice to see. So thank you. Luke, do you want to share a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks, Jean. Yeah, I've appreciated talking with you, because I can definitely hear your passion as well through our conversations. And I know Sabrina and I, just a quick aside, always come out feeling really good after speaking with you and about everything that you're doing too. So a little bit about me, like Sabrina said, I've been lucky throughout my career too, because I've focused on working with people since I was 19 years old. I've worked more than half my life now, starting in Grand Prairie, working at 19 years old at a homeless shelter, and making my way through the different human service, a few different human service agencies, until I decided, okay, I need to do something where I can have a little bit more of an impact on a greater, kind of more macro scale. So I got my social work degree from the University of Calgary, and was lucky enough to jump right into community corrections after that, working with individuals in the criminal justice system in the community, reintegrating, supporting their kind of journey back into the community. That's felt really good. And me as a person, I look for change probably roughly every 2 years or so. So every couple of years I change. In my career, I've noticed I've changed my kind of path, or my job, I'll say. In my career, I've changed different jobs to do different things, to work with different kinds of people or in different circumstances, all through community corrections. But I've been lucky enough to do that, which has taken me all the way up to my current role. After 13 years of service in the public service, I'm still working for the government, just in a little bit of a different role, not frontline anymore. However, through all of that, I've had a passion for photography, and I've been photographing for 15 years, coming up to almost 20 years. And I'll tell you a little bit about my photography a little bit later, but that's kind of been a driving force with my creativity through my career. And I've photographed people, and I love to photograph emotion and all kinds of different things. But that's kind of what's brought me all the way to here. And over the last couple of years, we'll talk a little about the Intersections project. I hope I've done that with passion, and I hope I've done that with care and responsibility, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about with all that in mind.
Excellent. No, thank you, Luke. Yeah, no, you again, you can tell the passion in your voice. Yeah, and with photography, we can capture so much, you know.
Mm.
You talk about the emotion, you know, the despair, the anxiety. Like it's really, it's deep stuff. No, it's especially when it's done well, especially when it's done well.
Mhm.
Yes, that's the goal.
Exactly. So now I'd like to chat about the photographs that you guys have taken of people that are living on the street. And I know this is a joint project for both of you, but I would like to hear what each of you have to say. My first question is, and I'll start with Sabrina. This project is important to both of you, but what does it represent? And Sabrina, I'll let you start.
Oh, that's a big question. And
Yes.
yeah. What does it represent? Truth, I would say, to me. I know that's very big and broad. But truth. You know, what everybody that we've met so far and that we've photographed and that we've interviewed, there hasn't been a single person that hasn't made me emotional. You know, and I think as an outsider, if you don't get to know these people, you think that they're scary and they're angry and they are lazy and they don't want to do anything. But when you actually talk to them, they are full of love and life and compassion, and they are very self-aware of the situation that they're in. So it's truth. It's really getting to know each person and why they're there and the reasons why they weren't able to get out of those situations and why they're doing that instead of committing other crimes. You know, they're just trying to survive. And, that's why this is important to me, is honestly just showing people that they're human too, and that they're just as good as the rest of us and they all belong. And that's,
I
Well
like,
said.
no, that's awesome. It's very, I like that truth. That's a big word, you know, for a lot of people. And not them and us. We're all in this together. Yeah, no, I agree. No, Luke, why is this project important to you? Let's hear your.
Yeah, I think
story.
Sabrina said it really well, in terms of the grand, the big picture, the truth behind it. For me, I'll take you a little bit back in terms of when this started for me 2 years ago, or roughly just a little bit over 2 years ago. For me, it wasn't this big grand idea yet. It was more like a gut feeling. It was, I saw individuals. I knew that, okay, there's something here that people aren't picking up. I'll speak for myself. I'm driving by, and I'm sitting at an intersection with moments that are passing, and these are quick moments that my life is brushing up against a person's that's basically, they're risking their life at an intersection, and we're just passing by, and these people tend to be invisible generally in our society, or when we do notice them, it's usually not for the best reasons. And this project was, to me, even though I didn't know where it was going at the time, I knew I had to start this. I had to do something with it. And it was a way of kind of forcing the question, for me at least, do we actually see these people? Do we even try to see them? Do we just look away? Are we just getting really good at like pretending that we don't see these people at the intersections? Are we risking looking at our phones and getting a $365 ticket when someone presents themselves with a cardboard sign and their hand out. So for me, it was a matter of, okay, are we actually seeing, are we connecting, and who are these people? And that kind of brings back to what Sabrina was saying in terms of the truth of it and what is the actual truth of it. Because we're faced with that truth for moments of our day. Maybe it's twice or 3 times a day, but we are faced with it. And I didn't want to pretend.
Yeah. That's
what I would say.
That's excellent. I like that. Yeah. I didn't want to pretend, because that is, I think, what goes with a lot of our denial or looking away, like you say. That's excellent, Luke. That's very good. Thank you both. Next question. So what did you imagine would happen with getting to know the stories of the homeless? Did you have any preconceived ideas, or were you just open to how did it? And Sabrina, I'll start with you.
Okay. I think for Lucas and I, maybe, I'm sure I'm not speaking for just myself, but we like to go into things without any expectations.
Yeah.
And just really let the moment unfold the way that it needs to.
Yeah.
So I think trying not to have any ideas of how we want this project to go, what we're going to learn. We did talk about, coming up with a couple of questions beforehand to ask everybody, but everything has just fallen into place. We didn't write down any questions. Things have just come up naturally. And I think it's just more important to be present and listen to them and let them tell us their story and just follow where they are going. That's really, I think, what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And I like that, because then we're not looking for any, there's no agenda. We're not looking for anything here. We're just truly just trying to connect with them. So maybe at the end of the day, the only expectation I had was to be present for them and to really listen. I've heard a couple stories when we were asking some questions, and there was times where I didn't even want to take notes anymore. I just wanted to be there for them because they had told us something that they were currently going through. And I want to just let that moment pass by and not acknowledge the pain and the suffering that they were experiencing. So for me, it was just genuinely being there for them and hopefully making them feel seen. Because this project has been more, it isn't just about creating this project for the conference. I feel like I've gotten so much out of it already just by meeting the people that we've met.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. And the conference will just be another place to showcase and to expose, right, to others. Yeah. No, I agree. No expectations, no agenda. Yeah, no, excellent. Luke, how about yourself? What did you?
Yeah, I feel like I can only add to what Sabrina said in terms of going in with very little expectation and having a goal to maybe strip away kind of the noise, the distractions, kind of the labels, and leaving only through the portrait and through the story, through Sabrina's writings, leaving only kind of, or at best, the essence of that person there, as best as we can do that. Through photography, I'm trying to capture kind of a silent conversation versus what Sabrina's doing. And I think that's why we work so well together. When Sabrina's listening, I can see her listening and how that's impacting her. And for me, it's looking down the lens. I can see how these individuals are particularly looking right through me. They're looking right through my lens and giving me nothing but raw what they are. What in that moment is they are showing, whether that's the struggle, the pain, the resilience, the hope. Some have a plea to be seen. Like what these portraits are, they're not about the poverty. To me, they're about that human connection. So that's kind of, at most, I hope that was the biggest hope going in. And we're just lucky enough to be able to hold that space so that we can see that, so that we can connect in that. And that's I think the most important piece here, in terms of expectations, is just to be able to hold that space.
For them.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You've done that well. It's like with animals, you know how we say we're that voice for that animal that has no voice. And you look at a lot of these people who have had a lot of trauma and whatever in their background, and so you are now that voice for them. No, very well said.
And I'll just add one more thing in terms of that responsibility to translate. Both Sabrina and I take that as a really, really big responsibility, to help translate that, to be in that space and bring it into a space where other people can connect with it. And I think that is a very important responsibility when we do have that opportunity to do it.
That's right. That is a privilege. It is, right? It's sacred. To me, it's sacred that you've been given that, No. Excellent.
Sorry.
Able to,
it is. It is an honor. That's right, Sabrina. It is. That's right. And that's how we should look at it. My last question: what do you hope will happen when the delegates see your photos and hear their stories at the exhibit hall?
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
What I hope from my portion is that people can read their stories and think of a time in their life where maybe they could have went down the wrong path. Maybe they didn't have their parents' support on something, or I don't know, maybe they were hanging out with the wrong group of people. But if they can truly think of times, or think of things like with their own children, where maybe like these choices that we make can lead us down paths so quickly. So anybody can just apply it to themselves and see that this could be any one of us.
You bet.
And maybe just walk away with a little bit more understanding and compassion and care. That would be the best thing for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Luke, what do you hope the delegates come away with?
Yeah, great question, Jean. Well said, Sabrina. You're absolutely right in terms of connection and that honesty there. For me, the nature of the presentation is, when the delegates are looking, I hope that they see and feel a little bit uncomfortable, because they're seeing a raw person. They're seeing emotion. They're seeing something that potentially in those moments at the intersection they might not have the time to see, or the person may not be showing completely directly. But if you take that extra moment, or if you are there and present, which is very hard to do in those red light moments,
that's right.
The reality is there is something very, very potentially raw there, and connecting back to the human spirit and humanity and connection. And like Sabrina said, if an intersection in life would have changed, if I would have went left rather than turned right, that could have been me. And I'm not very far from that. And I know no matter where I am right now, and I know a lot of my friends and family, they could have taken intersections that led them to places where wasn't very good for them. And because they may be lucky with the support they received or the support that was given to them through family, friends, social agencies, healthy people. They chose other ways, or they had the ability even to choose other ways. Some of the stories we've been hearing, some people had no choice but to be where they are, of no fault of their own, and that's what I hope people see, and I hope they do also see the hope in the stories, because there is a lot of hope in these stories. It's not all negative, and there is humanity behind this.
That's right.
And there's a lot of humanity behind this, and they will see that, and they will read it.
Yeah, they will.
I'm hopeful for that.
Yeah, excellent. Very well said, both of you. Very well said. Lots of conviction and depth there, which I love. If we're just gonna, I call it sweeping the floor, take the broom and run around the floor a little bit. It's nice when you can get into a little more depth, and it shows character, and there's so much. So I'm really looking forward to the exhibit. I'm really looking forward to hearing what people's reactions are. I think it's something very different for us, which is, I think, great, because there again, we have to start showcasing. We have to start talking about this, bring it out of the shadows and start talking, right? So I'm really looking forward to the work that both of you have done. And like you say, I just wanted to thank you both again for coming and doing this interview. If any of our viewers are interested in learning more about the conference, please go to albertacrimeprevention.com. And with that, I'll bid you a good day. And again, thank you to both of you for agreeing to this interview. And we will see you at the exhibit hall at the conference. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Jean.
Thank you, Jean.